Thank you, everybody, for coming to the College Football Betting with Aaron Torres YouTube channel. If you could do me a quick favor, see that little subscribe button at the bottom of the screen. Go ahead, click that subscribe button. It helps our channel grow. It helps our audience grow. I appreciate it more than you know as we're talking college football on this channel year round. Appreciate your support. Click that subscribe button. If Georgia-Bama is the game that all of America can't wait to see, Oklahoma traveling to Auburn, a game that only a mother could love. That is right. Auburn hosting Oklahoma. Oklahoma ranked top 25 in the country despite the loss last week. The spread, Oklahoma is actually a 2.5-point road favorite. The over-under in this game set at 45.5. That number is down, open at about 47.5, 48, depending on the sports book. So it is down. It is midweek, and I expect it to keep plummeting if you've watched these two teams. In terms of the game, listen, we know the narratives involving these two programs. I'm not going to spend a ton of time recapping the past, but the past is a prelude to the future, right? And you can't handicap and discuss this game without acknowledging that both teams have themselves a little bit of a mess of a situation at quarterback. Auburn, we know the story. Everybody in America has weighed in on Hugh Freeze's comments. We know what he said. He basically said, I need my quarterbacks to stop throwing the football to other teams. But one, I think it's worth noting even coming into this one, if you just look at Auburn and you look at their season, you talk about especially the Cal game, a narrow loss in that one. The Arkansas game, Arkansas was a deserving winner. But the bottom line is what Hugh Freeze said even after the Arkansas game isn't wrong. They had over 100 more yards of total offense than Arkansas, and they just have to take better care of the football. If they go from like 5 turnovers per game to 2, they're probably 4-0. Again, that's not dismissing what Arkansas did. It's not dismissing what Cal did, but it is the reality. And so I understand where Hugh Freeze's frustration is coming into this game. As far as Oklahoma, listen, credit Venables. He kind of got out in front of it. He kind of didn't let it linger the way it has been lingering at Auburn. By the way, I think everybody listening probably knows Auburn, as of right now, has not named a starting quarterback. We're recording Wednesday night. Something might have changed by the time that you listen to this, but they have not named a starting quarterback. Oklahoma, Venables, to his credit, at the very least, basically put all his chips in the middle and said, we are starting to back up Michael Hawkins, who came in the game for Oklahoma against Tennessee last week. To me, listen, I'll let a coach determine what's best for his football team, but it makes perfect sense. First of all, Hawkins did go ahead and give them a little bit of a spark off the bench on Saturday. Obviously led 2 touchdown drives. I think that's a little bit deceptive because of the fact that the game was largely over, but he can make plays with his feet. He was actually the leading rusher in that game, which kind of says a little bit about Oklahoma's O-line and their run game. 22 yards rushing in that game was the leader, but he made some plays with his feet, threw for 132 yards, 11 of 18. And to me, this was the right decision. I get that Jackson Arnold's the 5-star and everybody's so excited about him and you can't wait. But the bottom line is this. When you look at Oklahoma, not only has Jackson Arnold not performed through 3 weeks of the season, or 4 weeks of the season going into week 5, 2, with this specific situation, it just feels like the right move, right? Oklahoma's O-line is young and beat up. We talked about it. 5 new starters for that O-line coming into this year. You had some injuries. And then, oh, by the way, this is the part that needs to be discussed. Your 2 best wide receivers, Nick Anderson and Deion Burks, both banged up early in the week. We'll get that injury report as the week goes on. But there's a possibility you could be without your top 2 wide receivers with a beat-up O-line that is playing backups for what was already a new O-line. So I'm not surprised that Hawkins is getting the start. But as I look forward to this game, as you can see, as I said, Oklahoma is a 2.5-point favorite going into Auburn. The over-under set at 45.5. I actually think from a betting perspective, the decision is actually very easy to me. It feels like an under all the way, okay? Now, I know unders, they're not the sexiest thing, but that is my official pick, under 45.5. And the bottom line is, look, I think you can talk yourself into either team winning this game, but I think you could talk yourself out of it really quick, right? If your argument is, we just saw Auburn, it's been chaos, there's no way they're winning this game. Okay, I get it. I see where you would say that, so you're picking Oklahoma. But if you're picking Oklahoma, what you're saying is this. We believe in a true freshman quarterback who has never made a start, who is making a start in one of the toughest road environments in college football, okay? And listen, we could criticize Hugh Freeze for whatever, blah, 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 but never forget, even Kirby Smart said at SEC Media Days, Jordan Hare is one of the toughest places in college football to go to. And so now you're asking a true freshman quarterback to go on the road. By the way, that Auburn defense, for all the criticism, they again held Arkansas to about 330 yards of total offense, but that's deceptive because they got about 70 of those yards on one Taylon Green throw. So you're going up against a reasonably good Auburn defense on the road, hostile environment. Oh, by the way, with, as I said, a banged up new offensive line and without your best two wide receivers potentially. So if you like Oklahoma, make the play. That's not for me. Now, if you want to pick Auburn, you do have the home field advantage going for you, but one, you don't know who the quarterback is, and two, and this is the important part for this game, you have a quarterback room that can't stop turning the ball over. I'll say it since apparently Hugh Freeze can't. And they can't stop turning the ball over against one of the most advantageous defenses in college football. I don't know if that made sense, advantageous, but a defense that has forced more turnovers than any defense in college football. That is worth noting. Oklahoma right now, in terms of turnover, not only turnover margin, but in terms of turnovers gained, they have forced 12 turnovers this season, and that is bad news for an Auburn offense that literally ranks dead last with 14 total turnovers. So Oklahoma is better at forcing turnovers than anybody. Auburn turns the ball over more than anybody. And so to me, why I have to take the under is because not only do I not trust either quarterback in this game or the multiple quarterbacks that could play for both teams. By the way, if Hawkins is bad out of the gate, if it's three straight 3-and-outs, you don't think there's a possibility that Jackson Arnold will come back in? So I'm bringing it up because we just don't know what we're going to get out of the quarterback room. We don't know what we're going to get from that Auburn O-line or that Oklahoma O-line. Auburn was running the football coming into last week. They ran it for a fair amount of yards against Arkansas, but Arkansas did a pretty good job slowing them down as well. I just don't know what we're going to see from either team. And I don't know that either coach wants to see much from either team, right? If you're Oklahoma, you have this game and then you're going into a bye. If you're Auburn, you're 2-2 through a stretch of the schedule where you thought you'd be 4-0. You got Georgia next week. You got to figure out a way to win this game. So I think both teams are going to keep it close to the vest. I think both teams are you know what this is going to be like to me? Have you ever seen old black and white film of those college basketball or NBA games in the pre-shot clock era when the final score of a game would be like 18-12 because one team just held the basketball the whole time? That's what I feel like we're going to get in this game. I can't even pretend to pick a winner. I'd probably, believe it or not, lean Auburn because they're at home, but you bet your money if you want to. But I think if we're actually making a bet on this game, the under to me is a no-brainer just because of the fact that, like I said, I don't think either coach is going to let their quarterback beat them or at least try not to let him beat them, especially after last week.